Miriam was tired. Not the kind of tired you feel after a long day at work. She was tired deep in her bones. Tired of being the only one without a ring on her finger. Tired of opening her phone every weekend and seeing another wedding invitation. Another engagement photo. Another. She said yes. Post with 100 comments and heart emojis underneath. She was 28 years old and she felt like she was losing a race nobody told her she was running. Every Sunday at church, she would sit in the same row, sing the same songs, and watch couples hold hands during worship. She would smile. She would clap. But inside she was screaming. Because she prayed. She fasted. She served. She did everything right. So why was God not moving? Her friend Tolu just got engaged to a man she met at a bus stop. A bus stop. Miriam had been praying for a husband for 3 years, and Tolu met hers while waiting for a bus in the rain. She went home that Sunday, sat on her kitchen floor, and said out loud to nobody, "God, what is wrong with me?" That was when she heard a knock at her door. It was Naomi, her neighbor from down the hall. An older woman, maybe 60, with kind eyes and a habit of showing up at exactly the wrong time, or maybe the right time, depending on how you look at it. Naomi had brought her jollof rice and a warm smile. Miriam let her in because she didn't have the energy to say no. They sat at the kitchen table, and Naomi looked at her and said, "You have that look again." Miriam said, "What look?" Naomi said, "The one that says you're angry at God but you don't want to admit it." Miriam opened her mouth, then closed it. You want to because Naomi was right. They talked for an hour. Naomi told her to be patient, told her God was preparing her, told her the waiting had a purpose. Miriam nodded and smiled and said thank you. But the moment Naomi walked out that door, Miriam picked up her phone and downloaded 3 dating apps. If God was moving too slow, she would help him. Within 2 weeks, she was talking to 3 different men. She was strategic about it, intentional. She made spreadsheets, actual spreadsheets. She tracked their responses, their consistency, their church attendance. She was going to find her husband herself. And then she met Caleb. Caleb was everything she thought she wanted. He was an architect. He drove a clean black car. He wore nice shoes. He opened doors. He called when he said he would call. He remembered small things, like how she took her coffee and which side of the restaurant she preferred to sit on. On their 3rd date, he looked across the table at her and said, "I've never met anyone like you, Miriam." She felt her heart do something embarrassing. She deleted the other 2 apps. She told her friends about him. She started imagining what their wedding would look like. But small things started to happen. When she invited him to church, he said he was busy. The next week, busy again. The week after that, he said, "I support your faith. I just don't really do the church thing." She told herself it was okay. She told herself she would pray for him. She told herself God could change him. Then he started canceling plans. Not all the time. Just enough to make her nervous. And he would cancel on Saturday and then show up on Sunday with flowers and a smooth explanation, and she would forgive him because the flowers were beautiful and the explanation made sense. Then came the night everything broke. They were at his apartment. The conversation turned serious. Caleb moved closer to her on the couch and looked at her in a way that made her uncomfortable. She pulled back. She told him her boundaries. She told him she was waiting for marriage. She told him this was important to her. Caleb stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. Not a small laugh. A real laugh. Like what she said was genuinely funny to him. He said, "Miriam, come on. You're 28. This isn't high school." She stood up. She picked up her bag. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. She said, "I think I should go." He said, "If you walk out because of this, don't bother coming back." She walked out. She sat in her car for 45 minutes. She didn't cry right away. She just stared at the steering wheel and thought about how she had done everything right. She had prayed. She had planned. She had been careful. And she had still ended up here, sitting in a dark parking lot at 10:30 at night, alone, with nothing to show for it. Then the tears came, and they didn't stop for a long time. She went home. She didn't eat. She didn't call anyone. She sat on the cold bathroom floor and she talked to God in a way she had never talked to him before. Not politely. Not with her church voice. She said, "I don't understand you. I don't understand what you're doing. I'm tired. I'm so tired. And I don't want to keep doing this." She stayed on that floor until she had nothing left to say, and then something quiet happened. Something she couldn't fully explain. The anger started to drain out of her, and in its place came something that felt like surrender. She whispered, "Okay, I'm done trying to control this. I'm yours. Whatever that means, I'm yours." She slept better that night than she had in months. The next morning, she deleted every dating app. She didn't announce it. She didn't post about it. She just deleted them and put her phone face down on the table and made breakfast. Over the next 6 months, Miriam started doing something unusual. She started living. She joined a Bible study on Thursday nights. She signed up for a pottery class even though she was terrible at it. She started volunteering every Saturday morning at a food pantry 3 blocks from her apartment. She wasn't doing these things to meet someone. She was doing them because she finally had time to figure out who she actually was when she wasn't chasing something. One evening, Naomi came over again. This time, Miriam made the tea. They sat together, and Naomi said, "You look different." Miriam said, "I feel different." Naomi was quiet for a moment. Then she said something Miriam never forgot. She said, "I used to think my husband completed me. When he died, I thought I had lost everything because I had made him my everything. God had to teach me, slowly and painfully, that I was a whole person before I met him. He was a gift, not a foundation. You can't build yourself on a person, Miriam. You have to be built before you meet them. That way, when they arrive, they don't complete you. They add to you." Miriam held her cup with both hands and let those words go all the way down. 4 months later, on a regular Saturday morning, she was at the food pantry stacking canned goods when a man came in to help. He wasn't flashy. He didn't say anything remarkable right away. His name was Solomon, and he was quiet, steady, and focused on the work. They worked side by side for 2 hours. At the end, he asked if she came every week. She said yes. He said, "Me too. I just moved to this area 2 months ago. I needed somewhere to be useful." She looked at him. Something about the way he said it felt familiar, like she understood exactly what he meant. They started talking the following Saturday, and the Saturday after that. Slowly, carefully, with no pressure and no rush, he told her about a difficult season he had walked through. A broken engagement, a period of stripping down everything he thought he knew about himself. He said God had to break some things in him before he was ready to be good for someone else. Miriam sat across from him and thought, "I understand that more than you know." Their relationship grew the way good things grow, slowly, without force. Months later, on a regular Saturday morning at the food pantry, in front of the volunteers and the familiar walls and the same canned goods she had been stacking for over a year, Solomon got down on one knee. She covered her mouth with both hands. He said, "I wasn't looking for you, but God knew exactly where to send me." On her wedding day, Miriam stood before everyone she loved and said something simple and true. She said, "The wait wasn't God punishing me. It was God protecting me from the wrong person and from the version of me that wasn't ready yet." She put on her ring and smiled, and it fit perfectly. If this story touched you, drop a comment below and subscribe. Your blessing is still on the way.